Hello everyone and welcome back to The Woodwork. Now the playoff race is heating up in all three of the EFL divisions, but the one I'm most interested in is definitely the Championship. Now this is being filmed on Wednesday sort of lunchtime, so the Wednesday night games this midweek haven't been played yet as of recording this video, so obviously Leeds is still to play in the midweek, but just sort of a little taste of just judging yesterday's results. Now West Brom got a point away at Burnley, which very good. Burnley are becoming significantly easier to play against, but luckily they've still got that 6-point gap, so they should be alright in terms of playoffs. So obviously promotion, automatic promotion isn't what this video is about. I think that's pretty much set in stone between these three, probably these two. So it's sort of from 4th in Sunderland in 4th to, I'd say, to Sheffield Wednesday and Norwich, but not including Blackburn. I think Blackburn's season, unfortunately, is over. I think you're losing Eustace. I think it's the owner's fault. I don't think they back them enough. So sadly for them, their season's over. So it's down to Norwich, and well, this game last night, as we're recording this video, sort of put Norwich's playoff efforts into some doubt, and Sheffield Wednesday's into some, a real big opportunity for them this season. Now, I think Norwich, you look at their next game, it's Bristol City. If they can win that game, I think they're back in the race, because I don't think Wednesday are beating Sheffield United in the Steel City derby. So if we ignore those two for the minute and ignore Blackburn, it's sort of Middlesbrough, Bristol City, Coventry City, West Brom and Sunderland as our playoff fighting teams. Now, Sunderland are obviously way ahead, so they're not really one of the fighters. But I don't see them getting automatic promotion, so they're in their own little mid-table in there, where that's literally where they're going to finish now for the rest of the season. They can't really go anywhere else. So I think it leaves a really interesting four of West Brom, Coventry, Bristol City and Middlesbrough. Now, Middlesbrough are inconsistent as anything. You look at their recent form, loss, win, win, loss, win. Very few draws. In comparison to Bristol City, who have 15 and West Brom have 17. So very inconsistent, which I think unfortunately for them will make them struggle for any sort of, even if they do get in the playoffs, I don't think they'll have enough momentum behind them to do anything in the playoffs themselves. So I think Bristol City are the really interesting one here, because they're always sort of there but not quite there. But under Liam Manning, with the players they've got this season, you look at Scott Swine, Sinclair Armstrong, who's just come back from injury. They've got some really dangerous forwards and a very solid sort of defensive base as well. So with the talented players in their midfield added to that, I think they have a real, they have a real chance of getting into this top 6. Now, Coventry have had an unbelievable streak. They did lose to Derby last night, which is obviously Frank Lampard's old club. But Lampard himself has really, pushed this team to great things. You look there, before the loss to Derby, they had 5 wins in a row. Some of these wins including, Sheffield Wednesday against other playoff chasing sides that I've described. So he's definitely getting the most out of this squad finally, which Mark Robins wasn't able to do at the start of this season. He has the past couple of seasons, obviously. But Coventry are definitely, for me, going to be there or thereabouts in the final sort of 9-10 games of the season. Now, West Brom for me now, after the January signing of Adam Armstrong, have the best forward in the league. His goal scoring hasn't been as high as I thought it would have been, but 2 goals already so far, which is one I thought he already had in the Premier League in the first half of the season. So he's definitely found his level at West Brom. But honestly, I don't think this side is actually that good. You look at this is their starting 11 in the draw against Burnley. So they obviously lost Alex Palmer to Ipswich, who was their starting goalkeeper, and Wildsmith is having to fill in behind in goal. Wildsmith is having to fill in goal, so you've got a second choice keeper in goal. Mason Holgate wouldn't really start. He was in that Sheffield United team last season, so he wouldn't really start for any of the Premier League sides. So he's probably a Championship defender. Hegham's a good signing. He looks very good. Don't know too much about Diakate, but is he a January signing? No, he's signed in the summer from Hartsburg. So again, an obscure club that he was signed from, so new country in England. Callum Styles is probably a Championship player signed from Barnsley, but he was always going on loan to Championship sides. John Swift has used to be very, very good. I mean, look at his first season for West Brom there, and he's got 7 goals and 10 assists, but it's just sort of his numbers have fallen off a bit. Maybe he's playing a bit of a deeper role. Obviously, there's 2 in midfield that they played against Burnley. It's going to be harder for those midfield players to really impact. Moat's a brilliant player. He should be one that some of these Premier League sides, definitely down the bottom, should be looking at getting, because I think he's a really solid midfield player. Isaac Price, a good young player, very versatile, can sort of play anywhere across the middle and even a bit more advanced. So, but again, a youth player. This isn't a groundbreaking team like we've seen in recent times with Leicester and Leeds and Southampton. This is just a solid Championship team under really good management by Tony Mowbray that's got them in this great position. I mean, this forward line, other than Armstrong, who, as I've said, hasn't been in the best of form actually. Obviously, they're missing Josh Madger, who's their top scorer, and Tom Fellows didn't start this game either. So Jason Malumbi as well there, and obviously Darnell Furlong suspended. So there are a few players out of this team, but still, these 4, again, I always come back to the point of, would any of these 4 start in the Premier League? Now, Josh Madger on form probably would. Tom Fellows might be, if like a Brighton or an Ipswich or someone like that. But, they're still not groundbreaking Premier League players, and I think that they're under really good management, and I think that's what's got them there. They are a little bit inconsistent. They like to draw a lot of games, especially under Corberan. So if they can sort of turn some of those draws into wins coming into the season. I mean, they've got some tough games. They've got Norwich away, Sunderland at home, Bristol City away midweek as well, Coventry away. So they've got some tough games, but equally, I think you want to play the teams around you, and that could come to West Brom's advantage with this run of games if they can win those games. Moving on to Coventry then, this is a much better side than what West Brom have. They were, I don't know what Mark Robbins was doing to them at the start of the season. They must have just sort of given up playing for him. But I made a point in a previous video about Coventry when I described them as underachievers. And a few comments have been asking me to go back to videos like that and say, update my predictions and stuff like that. Now, I mentioned in that video that Liam Kitching and Bobby Thomas should be the 2 centre-backs playing for Coventry every game. They were dropped for no reason under Robbins at the start of this season, and they're starting together now. And just look at the results. The results speak for themselves. Other than this derby game, the results speak for themselves. They've had 5 wins in a row. Clean sheet against QPR in there as well, with a 94th minute winner from Thomas, and then again from Thomas against Coventry. What do I know? But no, they've got a good squad, Coventry, definitely. This new keeper's done well as well. Forward line possibly could have more numbers. I know Haji Wright's been injured, but I feel like they could get more out of Ellis Sims than they have been. Jack Redoni isn't in the starting 11 as well. He's been good for them. So I think Coventry for me will be with West Brom in this top 6. That's really unfortunate, especially for Bristol City. They got this really good point against Sheffield United last night. I just don't think they have enough to get in there. They're always nearly there, but they're just not quite. But even if they finish just outside, they built a massive platform for themselves for next season. Got really good manager in Liam Manning. They've got a good squad, but I don't see many of these getting poached by Premier League sides. Scott Twine probably needs to find a bit more consistency to be poached by a big side. Illyri, again, is a good keeper, but has made some weird errors this season. Knight and Bird are both really good players. Mehmeti as well, really, he's unreal. He's so good the games I watched him. Naki Wells is still scoring goals for them, so they've got a good squad, but I don't see many of these players, bar Mehmeti, getting poached by sort of Premier League sides over the summer. So if they can keep the spine of this squad and the core of the squad going into next season, and their manager, I think they have a real chance of getting in there next season. I just think this season is just a step too far for them, I think, unfortunately. Now, finally, Middlesbrough, this run of form, look here, I mean, losses to, Preston and Swansea and teams that are just mid-table, sometimes out of form. They signed Iheanacho after losing Latilath, and he's just not been scoring goals, haven't been getting the best out of him yet. But they still do have some really good players. I mean, Tommy Conway, really good signing. Fenazaz is unbelievable. Look, 10 goals and 11 assists. That is just a joke. They've obviously got an injury problem with their centre backs. They've had to play two midfield. I think that's a midfielder. This is a left back in central defence. So that's obviously a big problem for them. But I don't think Michael Carrick's the best coach for them. I think he's proven himself definitely for Championship level, but that little step up to, as we've been talking about, the little step up to the Premier League and the playoff sides, I think is where he might struggle in terms of. I just don't think he's that good a manager to get a team like Middlesbrough up there. So I think this could be his last year if they don't get in there, which I don't think they do. Unfortunately for Middlesbrough fans, I don't think you're just not consistent enough. I don't back you to make up the points here to get into that top six. I just think Coventry and West Brom especially, are just too good to come out of it. So at the end of all that, I've kind of said that everyone's going to be where they are now, and that's probably going to be the case for the rest of the season. I think there's still obviously opportunities for a surprise with Wednesday. Bristol City could definitely get in there. They just need to find that extra step. But yeah, I think my final top six would be Leeds winning the league, Sheffield United second, Burnley third, Sunderland fourth, Coventry fifth, and West Brom sixth. Let me know what your predictions are for the Championship playoff race in the comments below, and thank you for watching The Woodwork. I'll be back with you in a couple of weeks.